Okay, Arunaji, nice to see you again, Arunaji. Okay, it's a great joy for me to see each and every one of you. And most of you are from outside Delhi, and seems like there's several people who are still a little scared of the WebEx. And yes, some of you may be more good at the technology, or your children may be good at it and helping you. That's nice that we're all seeing each other. And I know that there are many from Delhi um, who are keen, who make it a point to have their classes in person, but now they're online and COVID-19, they might not be so fortunate to have somebody to teach them how to do the WebEx online teaching. So some of them they are listening to this teaching through YouTube. Okay, so the amongst you, if there you know some who do not know how to handle this WebEx, just as Dibesh Lal in Shigela, he's helping us. You can also help your friends to take part in this, so that they can they can take advantage of seeing the Dharma brothers and sisters. Yeah. Okay. So with that in mind, let's turn to page 3. And of course, what I expect is that the early classes, for example, uh, the first class that we had last Sunday, we expect that all of you should have listened to that. I should be there, or if not, listen to the recording later. So that must be done for you to get a flow of the teaching, because as you know that this is a very systematic class, and unlike we're attending like 2 days, 3 days, or 4 days, 5 days teaching. What we expect is that people learn very systematically. For that, the flow is so important, and and of course, once in a while you might have the busy engagements, but I would still suggest that you make it a point that you listen to the early recordings which you otherwise missed. Okay, with this in mind, setting a proper motivation with 3 points. 1, refuge field. Number 2, bodhicitta. Number 3, the wisdom of number 3, the purpose of this practice. And the reason why we are doing this, let us keep in mind. The reason why we are doing this is that, say, the modern education, like language or physics or the biology or the history or the fine arts, whatever, medical, there is something there that you learn it, and finally this is to be employed for only this life, not beyond. Whereas what we are doing here is very different. And somebody who's very successful in the modern education doesn't guarantee that a person is a happy person. Whereas this education that we're doing, so while we grow in our thinking, we also expect that we grow in our happiness. We grow in our sense of composure, which is so important. And then the legacy for your children, legacy for your family members is all modern education. You send your child to a school, good school, then your child gets education. Whereas the good heart, the happiness, contentment, and these are something that we can't really learn from sending the child to a school and then you, particularly to a very expensive school, we can't expect that to be taught from the school. So this is something which is so precious for each one of us, you, myself, and then as a legacy for your children, your family members, and your parents also, your parents and your relatives, your friends, to everybody. This is something so unique. So because this is something so unique, at the same time, it's not a very passive study. It's a very intense study. Plus, it requires systematic studies. So, with this in mind, we do this setting a proper motivation to make sure that there is some cumulative effect. Eventually, after completing the course, you become a happier person. You become more controlled. You become more, let's say, the decomposed, and deeper understanding, and so forth. Okay, this is what we need to keep in mind. With that in mind, refuge field, visualize Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in the space in front of you. And imagine that you come from school demoralized, being bullied by elder children, and your parents are waiting there to give you full love, affection, attention. This is so important. So this invoking that spirit of the connection, the spirit of the closeness, spirit of the flow of your mind towards the Buddhas Bodhisattvas, that determines how qualitative is your refuge, the thought process. Bodhicitta field. Visualize your two parents on your two sides and all your family members, including your children and everyone around you. And imagine that they come home demoralized and you are there to give full love, affection, attention, and embrace. And the purpose of this practice, this study, reflection, and meditation, is to awaken this very profound treasure of enlightenment, the treasure of Buddha nature within us, to awaken that. So it is already there, the Buddhahood is already there. The great teacher, Acharya Nagabodhi, who said that Buddhahood is not being bestowed upon you by anyone, nor the course of the Buddhahood is being held by anybody for you. It is through you discovering your Buddha nature that you become enlightened. So keeping this in mind, that the Buddhahood, the confidence, the conviction that we need to have is that the seed of perfection is within us. And it is only why it is not visible is because that is blurred by the mental defilements. Like the gold, when mixed with the mud, the gold, though the nature of the gold is to glow, it doesn't glow because of the mud, obstruction from the mud. Likewise, the Buddha nature inside us, no matter whether you are a girl, boy, educated, uneducated, high, low, it doesn't matter. Everybody has the same seed of perfection. This is the fun hope for all of us. So that has to be awakened by removing the mental defilements. And keep in mind the mental defilements, there are two, the gross and the subtle. The gross one referred to as the afflictive obscurations. And particularly when we are doing this visualization, don't just flow yourself in some other thoughts. Try to follow what I'm saying, because many times, many of the sophisticated concepts also come along as I introduce the visualization. So the gross mental defilements, also referred to as the afflictive obscurations. And the subtle one is referred to as the cognitive obscurations. And the afflictive obscurations, the presence of this stops us from achieving the state of fearlessness, also referred to as the nirvana. And the subtle one, referred to as the cognitive obscurations, that stops us from achieving the infinite joy, infinite happiness, referred to as the Buddhahood. So, how to get rid of these two mental defilements? It is finally by getting rid of all the immediate cause, contaminant karmas, afflictions, inappropriate attention, and the self-grasping ignorance. So finally, it is by getting rid of the self-grasping ignorance. So this ignorance has to be gone rid of by introducing the wisdom to see the reality in its final form, which is the emptiness nature. Okay, so that is the purpose. That's the purpose. With this in mind, given that, okay, I'm here just for that purpose, to unravel this hidden treasure within me by resorting to the very powerful remedy, which is the wisdom of emptiness, driven by the force of bodhicitta, which we studied the freshly. And then that bodhicitta must be supported, invigorated by great compassion, and this great compassion must be laid on the ground of renunciation. So with this in mind, let's turn to page 3 of the text, the place of non-dual bodhicittas. And imagine that you are leading this and all sentient beings are joining you. And to with great compassion, you taught the immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. And teach by great compassion, you taught the immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. And teach by great compassion, you taught the immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Sangye chula soge chonam la chanjo pardo dane gyapso che age jinso kebe sonam ge dola penjere sangye drubare shu Sangye chula soge chonam la chanjo pardo dane gyapso che Age jinso kebe tsonamge dola penjere sangye drubare shu Sangye choda tsoge chonam la chancho pardo tane kyapsu che Age jinso kebe tsonamge dola penjere sangye drubare shu I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Okay, so as we recite these, keep in mind that should you have any questions, because what we're doing sometimes may be slightly different from your upbringing, and if why I'm saying this is that some of my friends, they asked the question to me that particularly when we do some short-term retreats, they asked me a question that, okay, we know all these prayers, so why do you have to do it over and over again? Okay, all these questions, should you come across these questions like this, any questions which you may find it, okay, why are we doing this? Why should we have to do that? Keep in mind that to the best we can, what we're doing is, this study is to systematically know things very rationally. So because that is the whole purpose, should you have any questions coming along, feel free to ask me, not necessarily in the class right there, which is not so relevant. What is not directly relevant to the class, you can send them to our the Divesh Lab, the Shige Lab, and Kunchab Lab. And then these questions, I will make it a point to get back to you. So the point is that, yeah, we have to know the reasons, and feel free to ask these questions. Okay, let's continue. Independent origination. There is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness, no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme among all teachers, the one who taught this peace, which is free of elaborations. I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers, the bodhisattvas, and the Buddhas, who through the knowledge of all leads hearers seeking pacification of complete peace, who through the knowledge of paths causes those helping migrators to achieve the aims of the world, and who through the possession of omniscience helps subdue and expound varieties of teachings. the one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings, the teacher, Sugata, and protector to your administrations, the one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines forth the forever noble light rays, to you the Buddha make prostrations. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I journey the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. All phenomena arise in causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of the causes as well as taught by the great seer. Profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear light and non-composite. Such is the nectar like Dharma I have discovered. Finding no one who can fathom this teaching, in silence I'll return to the woods. Beyond utterance, thought and expression is the perfection of wisdom, which is unborn, unceased, and has their nature space, is the object of apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of the Buddhas of the three times of your obeisance. All composite things are impermanent. All contaminated things are the nature of suffering. All phenomena are the nature of emptiness and selflessness. Transcending sorrow is peace. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, likewise the Guru is the Sangha. The Guru is the source of everything wholesome. I go for refuge in the Guru. By the sound of the vibrant drum of Dharma, you liberate all beings of miseries. I beseech you to kindly remain and give teachings until the end of expansive billions of aeons. The Buddha does not watch the negativities of the beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It is by teaching the truth of the suchness that the beings are liberated. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine light of Dharma for all bewildered miseries gloom. If attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view. Okay, page 14. Praise to Shakyamuni Buddha. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the full destroyer, completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and good conduct, Sugata, know the world, supreme God of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When, O supreme amongst humans, you are born its earth, you pace out 7 strides, then set him supreme in this world. To you who are wise, then I prostrate. With pure bodies, form supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord to you prostrate. With a supreme science face like a spotless moon, color like gold to you prostrate. Dust-free like you, the 3 worlds are not. Incompatible wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you the Tathagata I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, one path, the sublime pure reality, to the Dharma that pacifies I prostrate. Those who are liberated and also show the path to liberation, The holy feel qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts. To you the Sangha I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions. Perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual aberration, a flame of lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud see conditioned things as such. Through this marriage may sentient beings attain the rank of all seeing, subdue the four falls, and be delivered from samsara association, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. Okay, Heart Sutra Mantra, page 31. Deta Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvatyata 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 Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvatyata. Okay, now we will read foundation of all. Okay, let's read 8 verses of mind training. 8 verses of mind training. Most of you already know why I'm reading this. Why we are reading this 8 verses of mind training is the Heart Sutra is meant to build one of the 2 wings to achieve enlightenment. There's a wing of the wisdom, and then the other wing is the wing of compassion, wing of altruism, wing of bodhicitta. So this wing, for the bodhicitta, this love and affection, which is extremely precious. Finally, to what extent somebody is happy, guaranteed we can say it depends on to what extent the person's compassion is profound. To the extent the profundity and the intensity of compassion of the individual, that determines the extent of the person's happiness. So the other wing is the wing of the compassion or the wing of the bodhicitta. So, and the bodhicitta and compassion, the very nature of that is to embrace others. This is a very beautiful mindset. It's amazing. And in fact, some of you might have your own experience when you relate to your own children. How you see your child, and how you see your mother, how you see your brother and sister to whom you feel so close, and then how you see somebody else's child is very different. So this love and affection, which is so precious, that determines how happy you are. And the love and affection, compassion, they embrace others. And what is the opposite force? The force which pushes others away from you. That is the opposite force. That is none other than anger, and this anger is driven by the ego. So the 8 verses of mind training here is primarily to crush, primarily to suppress, crush, and eliminate the ego grounded anger. And once that is done, then it leaves space for you to feel compassion. Your mind will automatically flow. The true nature of mind is to flow naturally. If the anger, ego, when they are not there, your mind, the tendency of your mind is to flow, and you see that the barrier dissolves. When the barrier dissolves, the first person who the first person to experience this happiness, this joy, is yourself, because you're the one who don't feel the barrier. This is so precious. Towards your children, towards your mother, towards your brothers, sisters, towards your father, towards your friends, colleagues. This is so precious. So it was my training by reading this. Some people may, when you read it for the first time, without any exposure to the background of this, you might get a feeling that it's a very self-denial presentation. Not at all. It is to subjugate the egocentric compassion, the egocentric anger, and to subjugate this, it is to crush it, and then to leave space for your heart to expand, to embrace the others. It's a very beautiful practice. Okay, and to feel it. To feel it, it is not like it is not like that you read it once, you appreciate it once, and then automatically it happens. No, it's not like that. So we have to, just as for a good food, to have a good food, we need all the ingredients, the skills, and the containers. All these things are required. For a good house, the locations, and then the from the way the wind blows, the direction of the sun, and then the materials of the building, they all count, and the quality of the architect. All these things count. Likewise, and nobler the goal. Let us not forget this. Nobler the goal, more the time taking. Because this is something, this joy that we want to achieve. This is something everybody seeks, including the billionaires, including the big shots like prime ministers, presidents, kings, queens. They also want that, but they're not getting it. They're not getting it. Why they're not getting it? This is not something which our money can buy. This is not something our position can dictate on somebody. This is something that we have to cultivate it. Cultivate it is a very noble task. Because it being a very noble task, more the time taking. So if you really care for your own deeper happiness, then we should be ready to embark on this journey of the happiness. So it was my training, reading this and reflecting on it on a daily basis, and particularly I would highly recommend that each one of us, not only you, me also, to practice bodhicitta, the two methods which we already learned. And then, because depending on the availability of your time, some people might be able to do both the methods in a single sitting, whereas others may alternate between the two. Today you do the sevenfold, the next day you do the equalizing exchange method. So this is something if you do, you can see that the progress is happening, and your mind. I can't guarantee that within 1 week you will be very compassionate. You'll be a very happy person. I cannot guarantee that, but for sure, if you continue doing this, I can guarantee that within a span of 1 year, 2 years, 3 years time, your mind will be very different. You will be deep inside. You'll be extremely composed, very confident, and not being affected by the external factors as much. That your compassion becomes very grounded. This is something which your family members can sense in you. Okay. So with this mind, let's turn to this. So whatever is being said here to eradicate or to subdue, it is not the self. It is the ego and the anger. So we are trying to, when we say that I'll take the defeat and I'll offer the victories to all others, I'll take the defeat, which means that defeat, let these two demons, the ego and the anger, these two be defeated. This is, and then I should win. I should win to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. I should win so that I'll be the happiest, that I can export my happiness to all other sentient beings. At the moment, I cannot export happiness because I'm deprived of happiness because of these two things, anger and the ego. And later on, we are going to be more specialized by seeing the self-centered attitude and the self-grasping ignorance. For the time being, let's say ego related to 8 verses of mind training, the ego and the anger, these two. We're going to crush these two, and then automatically a space will be there left for compassion to grow, your other cherished mind to grow, and your happiness to grow. Okay, let's read this together. 8 verses from training the mind. With the determination to achieve the highest aim, for the benefit of all sentient beings, which surpasses even the wish-fulfilling gem, may I hold them dear at all times. Whenever I interact with someone, may I view myself as lowest among all, and from the very depths of my heart, respectfully hold others as superior. In all my deities, may I probe into my mind, and as soon as mental and emotional afflictions arise, as they endanger myself and others, may I strongly confront them and avert them. When I see beings of unpleasant character, and those oppressed by strong negativity and suffering, may I hold them dear, for they are rare to find, as if I have discovered a jeweled treasure. When others out of jealousy treat me wrongly with abuse, slander, and scorn, may I take upon myself the defeat and offer to others the victory. When someone whom I have helped or in whom I have placed great hopes mistreats me in extremely hurtful ways, may I regard them instead as my precious teacher. In brief, may I offer benefit and joy to all my mothers, both directly and indirectly. May I quietly take upon myself all hurts and pains of my mothers. May all these remain undefiled by the stains of the 8 mundane concerns, and may I, recognizing all things as illusions, devoid of clinging, be released from bondage. From my true collections, vast space that I have amassed from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds wisdom is blinded by ignorance. Okay. So we continue from where we left last time. We were doing the 5 paths. 5 paths, and how this topic came to being is after having done the Bodhicitta, the two Bodhicitta methods. Then the question is that what next? What next? This question. And okay, before I go to what next, is very important. It's very important, and I may say this every now and then, or I may not say this at all in the future. It depends. The point is that we tend to learn how to practice bodhicitta. Yet, amongst the serious practitioners, me meeting with them, encountering those, and come to realize that people who are actually dedicating time to meditate on the 2 methods of the bodhicitta, it is so less. This is very unfortunate, extremely unfortunate. Finally, say for example for me, let's say that at the age of, let's say I was born in this tradition, and then till age 18 I was in school. Of course, the whole modern education system plus one's own what culture, religion, Buddhism practice, and not really practice as such, Buddhism and some stories connected to Buddhism. All these things have been for all these 18 years since birth till that point. Then after that, instead of going to the university or college, I joined the Institute of Buddhist Dialectics, became a monk, and then started to do the the Buddhist studies, philosophy, psychology, and so forth. There. Then after that, then in the Jebung Losuna Monastic University there. Then after that, then Gishi. After that, then 1 year in Gumetanda College, and then after that, already like I think 17 years lapsed already. So total, say with my the very rigorous exposure to the Buddhist philosophy and teachings, almost like 30 years. From there, I would say that from my limited experience, from my limited, say the experience, the life experience, 30 years of life experience with the rigorous exposure to the Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist philosophy and practice, is that okay, yes, steady reflection, and then finally there should be the fruits coming out. What's the fruit? The practice. For the practice, so as I said earlier, all the studies are there and rich materials are there to be practiced. And then, of course, the very high realizations, gade, para, all these are there. But practically, tell me, say, if you ask me, you tell me, so what is that thing which is so practically you can see that is so meaningful to you? I would say, no doubt, I would say bodhicitta and the wisdom of emptiness. No doubt. No doubt. And and of course, I would say that people like you, who are very fortunate that you are being a part of this very systematic studies, and many of the people like you who do not get the opportunity for systematic studies. For them, they get some teaching, 2 days teaching, 3 day teaching, or 1 week workshop, and so forth, and then they get the false impression that enlightenment, practice, meditation, and do this high yoga tantra, and so forth, without the ground at all. This is what is happening. Very unfortunate. And of course, meeting with the Dharma is very fortunate. But then, say there's eagerness there. There's the enthusiasm there. Enthusiasm should not go waste. If it looks for something which does not have the ground, it will totally go waste. This is the point. So what I'm going to say is that finally you, after say today is 2020, and then at one point, if we are lucky, we will see 2030. And 2030 will not do Nalanda diploma course, for sure. Most likely you must have also finished a Nalanda master's course. And then most likely, those of you who are more into very serious reflections will be focused more on the bodhicitta wisdom of emptiness. Then over 30 years, like say after 10 years, and if like say 20 years from now, like 2040, then you look back in time and you look around people around you who are into Dharma. You can see the stark contrast. In fact, for you, I'd like to introduce this girl there, Tensu Dumala, and then Tensu Dumala, raise your hand. Okay, why I'm asking her to raise her hand is that I met her like I think 13 years ago when she was a teenager. When she was like 19 years, she just finished her school, and she and her friend came to India, and then as a tourist, and bumped into a restaurant next to my place. And she asked the restaurant, the owner, as to what is the good thing? What is this place known for? Oh, known for Dharma. Okay, where can I get Dharma, right? And the restaurant owner sent her and her friend. There is another girl. Two of them said that you just go to that door, knock on the door, and you'll find a monk teacher there, and then you request him. This is how we met. Okay, So it has been like 13 years. So why I'm saying this is that it is like being 13 years, and she is at the moment doing another master's course, another diploma course, and all these teachings which are happening. She is rigorously involved there. And what you do is that you can is during your you can most of you, I'm sure you know her already, because she's busy writing all the summaries, and she's busy all sending these summaries to everybody. Okay, so what you can do is that this is, instead of me telling, you ask her, and you ask, for example, say Dibeshla, you ask Dibeshla, and the say you can, what should you ask? Very simple. um, Tell me, what is the difference between um, your understanding of dharma now and the people who are so infatuated with dharma, 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 this teacher, that teacher, this teacher, that teacher, and the what, the Hasyoga Tantra, right? The 3 years retreat. Okay, these people and you, what difference do you see? Just look at their body language, their facial language. From the facial language, you can see such a stark contrast. So there, on so those people, same amount of years, 13 years passed, but still they are just at the same place saying that, "Oh, I have to go to this teaching, that teaching, this teaching, that teaching," not getting anywhere. Whereas them, Tinsu Dumalam, Tinsu Shugela, Dipeshlam, we see that there's a growth happening, growth happening. That you can, it is like, it is like amateur, the mechanic and an engineer who has done the study so systematically, as to where something goes wrong, the person can take charge. Whereas the amateur, the mechanic, so what is commonly, something goes wrong, something which is very common, can fix it, and then something goes deeper. Okay, now this is the engine problem, and then the job is the engineer's job. So this is the difference between just as the difference that you see between the amateur mechanic and the private professional engineers. Likewise, is somebody who, like the Dibisla, Dinsdumla, who did a very systematic studies, and somebody who is not into systematic studies. This is a difference. Eventually, when you reach by the time 2030, 2040, all right, okay, at that point, then you will see the difference. So those who are very consistent with this, well, you will see that you got somewhere. You got somewhere, and you got to a very high, say the peak. From there you can see everything below, right? And then you see that, okay, now this is where I should go, how I should practice, and you will see what is what. Okay, this is so important. This is a basic, the framework of the practice. So for this matter, we have to, what we studied, we have to practice. What we studied, we have to practice. Not just you, me also. I'm saying this to you. If I tell you that, oh, bodhicitta, the sevenfold cause and effect method equalizing and exchanging self and others, I teach you all this so thoroughly, but I don't practice myself, this is wrong. It's wrong. And from your side also, after attending the class, and then you are expected to practice these. And of course, today, if I won't really ask each one of you whether you're practicing. So for you, what is very important is to get a big picture. The big picture, that's very important. Bigger picture. And a bigger picture for bigger picture meaning, say, okay, may I become Buddha for the relationship means bodhicitta. So what next? Then the 5 paths. The 5 paths, what should we be doing along the 5 paths? Then the 6 perfections, 10 perfections. So all these things we have to study. After studying all these things very systematically, and then the good thing is that, like, say we can, okay, good thing about this class is that the nuances can come along. Whereas for example, say, okay, what is the class? One week retreat. So there we will miss all the nuances. Where we are doing the systematic stars, the classes like this, not the master's course, not the diploma course, the benefit is that we will get all the nuances. And these people with the nuances, you gain the conviction, you gain the confidence. This is a difference. Okay, with this in mind, we're talking about the 5 parts. So what we said is that with the 2 methods of the practice of bodhicitta, and of course, for me, if somebody tells me that what is your favorite practice, I would say bodhicitta, no doubt. It doesn't mean that I accomplished it, but I can see the benefit, although it may not be so significant as such, but for me, it's very significant. Even if it is like 0.01 increase in compassion, 0.01 increase in the profound compassion, this I see as the greatest of the achievement. So that I can see that the benefit is there, no doubt. So, and if this is happening to me, we never know. Your propensity, your imprint of bodhicitta can be much deeper than mine. And then if you practice it, you may generate bodhicitta, and you may become a bodhisattva way ahead of me. We never know. The only thing is that even if you have beautiful seed, but if you don't put it in the fertile or the fertile land, fertile soil, and then the proper water and so forth, it will never germinate. So therefore, the point is that we have to let it germinate through the proper practice by putting the fertile soil, water, manure, and so forth. Likewise, with the proper practice, you have to let it germinate. The bodhicitta. This is so precious. And even if you are very kind, generally you are a very kind person, that kindness, what we, in the worldly sense, somebody who's a very kind person, and the bodhisattva's kindness is very different. There's a qualitative difference there. So this you will feel as you practice it. If you don't practice it, it will never, even if you are a very kind person, you may remain a very kind person whole your life. But you will never progress along the bodhisattvas, the bodhicitta's compassion, bodhicitta's the profound love and affection, which is so profound, extremely beautiful. Okay, so with this, let's say that today you have, because of this practice, you have generated a very strong feeling that may I become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings. It becomes so spontaneous. The moment is very spontaneous. If it is not spontaneous, if it is with effort, then that feeling is very precious. It is like the stepping stones to the actual bodhicitta, but that per se is not the bodhicitta as yet. Only when it becomes spontaneous, it becomes effortlessly the desire to become enlightened, it happens to you. That is the point. The bodhicitta that you have cultivated has become a full-fledged bodhicitta. At that point, you become simultaneously, you as a person become a bodhisattva. Whether you're male or a female, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, you become a bodhisattva. So now, bodhisattva means somebody bodhi. Bodhi is the awakening or Buddhahood. And sattva. Sattva is the courageous one. The courageous one who is so courageous, to seek to achieve full enlightenment or Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. Such a huge task of becoming Buddha to benefit such a huge number of the beings, infinite beings. And that too, such the huge span of time. However long it may take, I will be ready to bear that amount of time in order to achieve that goal, to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. So therefore, this becomes the most courageous person. You become the bodhisattva, the courageous one to seek enlightenment. Okay, so once you become the courageous one to seek enlightenment, how to seek enlightenment? This next question. So it involves 5 paths. It involves 5 paths, which we did last time. That is put in a summary form by in the Heart Sutra. Tyatha gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhiswaha. So we said that Tyatha is here is thus. Here is thus. How should you, somebody who aspires to become enlightened, should pursue through the path? Here's the path. What is the path? Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhiswaha. There are 5 paths. Okay, so the first one is part of accumulation, second one is part of preparation, third one is part of seeing, the fourth one is part of meditation, and finally the part of no more learning. Part of accumulation, preparation, seeing, meditation, no more learning. Okay, 5 parts. And last time we talked about the 5 into 3. 5 parts of the bodhisattvas, 5 parts of the minor practitioners, 5 parts of the Shravaka practitioners, and 5 parts of the Pradika Buddha practitioners. 5 into 3, 15. This is what we discussed last time. And then we are going to do more into detail as to what constitutes each of the parts. What constitutes each of the parts? Part of accumulation. Part of accumulation, what we said is that the same, you embarked on the path with a goal. With a goal. For the goal, in order to create this goal, there should be the materials gathered. We have to accumulate the materials to create a very beautiful mansion or a house. We need to gather the ingredients or the materials for the house, like the cement, the steel, the bricks, and so forth. Likewise, to achieve the goal of enlightenment, we need to gather the materials. And last time we discussed what materials are required to achieve the goal of enlightenment. 2 materials: wisdom and merit. Method, wisdom and merit. Wisdom and the method. Method, merit, these 2 are the same. Okay, method. The method in general. Okay, we have a method to do the mathematical calculation. We have a method to measure the size of the earth. This is one connotation. Now, in the context of the 2 accumulations, when you speak about the method in the context of the 2 accumulations, the method refers to the merit and the wisdom. So last time we did touch this area a little bit. In other words, the path of accumulation is the path, is the stage when your primary job is to just gather the materials to become enlightened. What are the materials? The accumulation of wisdom and accumulation of method or accumulation of merit. So this is your job. This is the primary job. Okay. And you may be wondering, what constitutes the wisdom? Wisdom is the wisdom of emptiness. That's fine. Then what constitutes the method or the merit is all the virtues meant to take you to Buddhahood, other than the wisdom of emptiness. Other than wisdom, all the other virtues to achieve enlightenment, they fall under the category of the method or the merit. So this is the part of accumulation. And the part of accumulation, we said that is of three divisions. Part of accumulation of its 3 divisions. Okay, first the divisions we will go a little later. First we'll get a broader picture of the 5 parts. Once we get that, then we get a hold of what the 5 parts is like. Once I have it, then we'll go into the details, the subtler classifications of each of the parts. Okay, first one, the part of accumulation. That is why this part is known as part of accumulation is primarily after stepping into the path, stepping into the threshold of the path by generating the bodhicitta, then what should you do? Your job is primarily to accumulate the materials to become enlightened. What are the materials? The accumulation of wisdom and accumulation of merit, or the method. Okay, this was one part. The next one is part of preparation. Part of preparation. Part of preparation. To know what the part of preparation is, first we have to know the part of seeing. Okay, so we jump from part of accumulation to the part of seeing. Part of seeing. Once the part of seeing is done, then we'll switch back to part of preparation. Then it become easy for us. Okay, part of seeing. Okay, let's say that I'm suffering from tuberculosis. I'm suffering from tuberculosis, and then the doctor let's say I sweat a lot. In fact, that happened 2009. 2009, yes, 2009. I started to have the sweating, a little bit of pain here, and yeah. So these symptoms, they came, and I did not know what that is. And the doctor said that is with all the diagnosis, with the proper diagnosis, the doctor concluded that this is tuberculosis. So my illness was diagnosed, tuberculosis. And once the illness is diagnosed, what is the cause of this illness is because of some bacteria, tuberculosis bacteria. Tuberculosis bacteria. That's the cause. Then they so now so what should we do? So when I have little fever, I can take the painkiller like paracetamol and paracetamol and so forth. But they are just to temporarily temporarily get over the fever. The problem will not go away completely. So now what should we do? We have to look for the proper medication. We have to look for the proper medication. How many agree with me? Raise hands. Okay. A proper medication. And how many of you know the proper medication for the tuberculosis? Any idea? 3. Okay. The Suzanne? 3. Okay. 3. Good. Ethambutol, rifampicin, isoniazid. Yeah, the 3. Okay, let's say that with these 3 medications, you get a medication. So before that, when I have a little pain here, then particularly when sleeping, I change my position so that pain is less. When I have a fever, I take the paracetamol to subside my fever. Okay, these are all the symptomatic treatments. These did not really treat me for good. So, part of accumulation, part of preparation, these two are like the symptomatic treatment. Efforts that you put in, they are not the real efforts. They are not the real medications. Part of seeing is the real medicine. Part of seeing is the real medicine. Okay, let's say that from how we explained during this one, during the setting of proper motivation, we talked about how all the problems, they're because of the what obscures this Buddha nature are the mental defilements. And the mental defilements are of 2 kinds, gross and subtle. and the gross one is afflictive obscurations, and the subtle one is cognitive obscurations. Very good. Okay. And the gross one, gross afflictions, they say the contaminant karmas and afflictions, and they all boil down to self-grasping ignorance. Ignorance. And the subtle one, the stain of the self-smell, the stain of the self-grasping ignorance. So whether it's the self-grasping ignorance or the smell of self-grasping ignorance, somehow the metal stains are related to ignorance. You agree with me? Because the metal stains are ignorance, the remedy must be the wisdom. Because the metal stains, finally they boil down to the ignorance. Ignorance is like darkness. With ignorance, you don't see the reality. In dark, you don't see the reality. You don't see what is around you. So just as to get rid of the darkness, you have to introduce the light. To get rid of the darkness of ignorance, we have to introduce the light of the wisdom. So the light of wisdom has to be introduced. Now, what does it mean by the light of the wisdom? What does it mean by wisdom? The wisdom is a discerning mind whose apprehension of the object tallies with the reality. What is wisdom? Wisdom is a discerning mind whose apprehension of the object tallies with the reality. Okay, so this is wisdom. Now, let's say that, okay, I'll give you two examples. Let's say that okay, what do you see in my hand? A saucer, right? A saucer there, and somebody blindfolds me, cover my eyes with the cloth, blindfolds me, and then let's say Alex, raise your hand. Okay, Alex. So Alex says, "Oh, Kishore, what are you doing?" The plate that you have, the saucer or the plate that you're holding, in it, there's a scorpion, right? There's a scorpion there. What are you doing? Throw it, right? Okay. Then I'm about to leave it down. I'm about to leave it down. And then Arunaji comes. And Arunaji asks me, "Hey, Kishore, what are you doing?" Right? "Hey, Kishore, what are you doing?" "Oh, I have the scorpion on my plate." "No, there's no way. There's nothing there. There's no scorpion there." Okay. So look, who's correct? Arunaji is correct or Alex is correct? Arunaji is correct, right? There's no scorpion there. Arunaji is correct. And then next, the chart comes. Chart molder comes. "Hey, Kishore, what are you doing?" Right? There's a scorpion there on a plate, right? Okay, look, although what Arunaji said was correct, and then I trust her. The next time again, the chart molder comes and says, "There's a scorpion there." Again, I doubt. Why? Because I cannot see what is inside directly. I have to trust somebody. When you don't see directly, then your conviction is weak. So, part of seeing, wisdom, how we define the wisdom is a discerning mind whose apprehension of the object tallies with reality. So, when Arunaji told me that there's no scorpion there, my discerning mind apprehends the reality as it is, but it's not strong. It is not strong because it is a not direct perception. I'm not seeing it directly. Whereas Then okay, then Hamala raised her hand. Oh yes. Then Hamala said, Geshe-la, what are you doing? Why do you have to listen to somebody? Remove your blindfold. She removes my blindfold, and then I said, okay, there's no scorpion there. Then all the Nalanda diploma course students, they come, they say, Geshe-la, there's scorpion there. I don't budge an inch. I know that there's no scorpion there because I can see directly. So part of seeing is the part where you see the reality, you see the emptiness directly. So that is the one, that direct perception of the reality, that is the final remedy, final medicine to overcome the ignorance. So ignorance has to be combated by the wisdom, and the wisdom, there are two kinds. One, the wisdom which sees the reality directly, and the other which sees the reality indirectly. So the one which sees indirectly, it does not have the power. It is weak. Whereas one which sees the reality directly is extremely powerful to combat the ignorance. So that is the real remedy, that is the real medicine to heal you. The path of seeing. Path of seeing. So path of seeing is when you start to see the reality directly. That's the path of seeing. Now we go back. We go back to the second one, path of preparation. Because path of seeing is like the actual medicine to heal your problem. So path of preparation is the stage where you are preparing to see the path, to see the reality directly. You are yet to see the reality directly, but you are preparing. You are preparing to get the medicine, to get the actual medicine, to get the actual wisdom to see the reality directly. You are preparing, in other words, you are preparing to move to the path of seeing. That is known as the path of preparation. And the path of preparation, it has 4 divisions. I'll explain this a little later on. So path of accumulation done, path of seeing, path of the preparation done, path of seeing done. Okay. So let's say that, okay, is there anybody from here? Is there anybody from here who had the experience of the, who suffered from tuberculosis once? Anybody raise hands? Who suffered from tuberculosis once? Okay, no one. Okay, I don't know whether you have any information about it. Let's say that I'm diagnosed with tuberculosis, and you're the doctor. You prescribe me the medicines, the 3 medicines. So I started to take the medicine, and then you said that, hey, Dorji, make sure that you take these 3 medicines properly. Take these 3 medicines properly, and your problem will be over, I guarantee you. I'm so happy. I take the medicines properly for 3 days. I'm not cured. Then I go to the doctor. I tell him that you told me that you take the medicines properly and you will get cured, and I took it, and then I'm not cured. Okay, you as the doctor, what will you say? Anybody? What will you say? Yes, Jean?
You have to be patient.
Okay. Yes, I've been patient for 3 days.
It's not enough.
Not enough. Then for how long? 10 years?
10 days, maybe.
Huh? Okay, anybody? Which means Jean does not have any, she's fit and fine. She has no experience of tuberculosis. Anybody? What will you say? You as the doctor, what will you say? Okay, here, Ritik. Yes, Ranjana.
Yes, Geshe-la, it's a 6-month course, so we should follow the 6-month course. Hello? Hello?
Yes.
So,
we cannot see you.
hello?
Yes, we cannot. Yes, we can hear you. Tell me. Yes, Ranjana,
Yes,
tell
yes,
me.
yes, Akala. 3 days is not sufficient for this course. It's a 6 month course, so we should follow.
Okay, yes, yes, we got it. We got the point. You said that is not for 3 days. It's for 6 months. Okay, you should be patient for 6 months.
No, 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 no. It's a course of tuberculosis. That is why I'm saying.
Okay, you are saying that this is a 6 months course. 3 days is not sufficient. This is what you're saying?
Yes, yes, I'm saying this.
Very good. Very good. Okay, so the doctor said that if you take it well, if you take it, then you will get well. And I took it well for 3 days. But Ranjana says that this is a course. This is a 6 months course. You have to take it continuously for 6 months. What does it mean by taking the same medicine continuously for 6 months? What does it mean by that? That is to repeat it. Repeat the medicines over and over again. You getting it? To repeat the virtue is known as meditation. To repeat what you have seen already is a meditation, to repeat over and over again. So the path of seeing, what did you see? You see the ultimate reality directly. So this wisdom to see ultimate reality directly, you repeat it over and over again. That is known as the path of meditation. You repeat the medicine. Path of seeing is like the medicine, actual medication. So this medication, you have to repeat it over and over again, and then your tuberculosis will be over. Likewise, mental defilements will be over if you repeat this medicine over and over again. So repeating the wisdom of emptiness over and over again is known as meditation. So this is known as the path of meditation. So if you take this medication for 6 months, 6 months without interruption, then after 6 months, your tuberculosis is over. Now you don't have to take the medication anymore. You don't have to take the medication anymore. So after the path of meditation, then you reach the path of no more learning. You don't have to learn anymore. You don't have to learn anymore. So now you have reached your path. You have reached your goal. You have already reached your Buddha nature inside is already awakened. Now, what are you aspiring? What you've aspired to achieve fearlessness and infinite happiness? You already achieved that. You don't have to now do anything else. There's nothing more for you to do. There's nothing to be done anymore now. So this is known as no more learning. You don't have to learn anything more. This is known as no more learning. Okay. So these are the 5 paths. Now, 5 paths. And now I'm going to go into detail of each paths. Each path of accumulation, path of preparation, path of seeing, path of meditation, path of no more learning. Okay, the first one, path of accumulation, is of 3 kinds. There are 3 divisions: a small, middle, and a great. Small part of accumulation, middle part of accumulation, and great part of accumulation. This is how we classify the part of accumulation into 3. And the demarcating line among the 3 the part of accumulations, the parts of accumulation. Number 1, the part of the small part of accumulation is just you generate the bodhicitta freshly. You generate the spontaneous bodhicitta till this bodhicitta becomes very stable, very stabilized. Very stabilized meaning, okay, let's say that I take the medication, for, let's say, for about 4 months, tuberculosis medication for like 4 months. The symptoms, they all go away. And then I thought that I'm cured. I recovered. Then I stopped the medication. Again it will relapse because recovery is not stable. You agree with me? Okay. Likewise, having generated bodhicitta, it does not mean that once you have generated bodhicitta, it'll forever remain like this. No. For example, if you learn cycling just for 2 days, You may be able to write on it, and then you may be able to write on it without falling. That's fine. But if you keep a break after this, after like 10 years, after 2 days of practice, and then you 2 days of practice, just 2 days, not for like few months of practice, just 2 days practice, you are able to write on it without falling, and you keep a gap of 10 years, and then again you write. Do you think that you can write it effectively? No, again you will fall. Whereas if you practice it for like, say, the few weeks or few months, then you will become very stable. Even after 10 years, you can write without falling, because you have gained the stability. Likewise, bodhicitta, you generated bodhicitta, it doesn't mean that it's stable. So only when you reach when it becomes very stable, when you reach the middle part of accumulation, it becomes very stable. Middle part of accumulation. So there it becomes very stable. So from there it will not fall back. Your bodhicitta will not degenerate when you reach that level. Okay, how many of you like that? So with the middle part of accumulation, then your bodhicitta becomes stable. Then we can relax, right? With the first, the small part of accumulation, there's every danger that your bodhicitta may disappear. It's still very weak and fragile. Whereas when you reach the middle part of accumulation, it becomes stable, and then your bodhicitta will not relapse. It'll forever remain like this. It will not relapse. Okay, it's for this reason that this bodhicitta of the middle part of accumulation is known as the gold-like bodhicitta. Gold-like bodhicitta. Okay. Some metals like, let's say, the iron can get rust, right? So it can changes a state. Iron, it can get rust, and even aluminum, it has a different form of rust. But gold, no, gold is very stable metal. It's a very stable metal. So the bodhicitta of the middle scope part of accumulation, it is known as the gold-like bodhicitta, because your bodhicitta has become very stable, and that your bodhicitta is stable, and there's no danger that you will fall back. Okay. Then the third one is the part of the great part of accumulation. Okay, the great part of accumulation, there it is said that pertaining to the Bodhisattva's path, not the Shravaka and Pratik Buddhas, but for the Bodhisattva's path, part of the great part of accumulation, there you gain a special mental power, where you hear the teachings of Buddha. Whatever teachings of Buddha you hear, they will all be registered, and you can memorize them without any effort. What you hear is already registered. You're getting it? Nalanda Diploma course participants, how many of you like to have that? Yes. Okay. So which means that you have to struggle hard. You have to exert yourself to reach to the third level of the path of accumulation. Once you reach that level, then you don't have to worry. You don't have to look for the summaries, right? Whatever you get, right? Everything is registered. All the details will be registered. You don't have to go for the summaries. You don't have to request Tenzin Tomala, right? Okay, Tenzin Tomala's work is going to be much lighter then. Okay, so that is the great part of accumulation. Then the next one is the path of preparation. Path of preparation, there are four. Okay, the form. What are the form? Heat. Number one is heat. H-E-A-T, heat. Heat. Number 2, peak. Peak means tip, the peak. Then the fortitude, number 3. Fortitude, number 3. Then the supreme of phenomena. The supreme of phenomena. 3. Okay, let me say this again. Heat, peak, fortitude, the supreme of phenomena. 4. And what they are, we'll do the next class. Okay, any questions? Any questions? Okay, Vishad?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes. Yes, you are audible.
Wanted to understand how do we know that we have reached a certain path in a say certain time? So how do we know? How do we gain conviction that we have reached that particular path?
Okay, let's say okay, first we have to practice it, right? Okay, first we have to practice it. Without practicing, okay, let's say, okay, what is this? Can you guess? Vishad, can you guess?
Orange looks like an orange juice. Yeah.
Orange juice. Orange juice. Okay, what is the taste of this like? Then Vishad says that it's a sweet taste. And I said, how can I know that it is sweet? Vishad will tell me that first you taste it. You're getting it? So what we do is that we have to practice them. We have to practice them. This is very important. Practice them. And of course, Vishad, I take your point. Because Lama Tsongkhapa, in this, in his short composition, there are 3 principal parts. So there, Lama Tsongkhapa was talking about the 3 of them, renunciation, bodhicitta, and the wisdom of emptiness. And he was explaining each one of them on the basis of 3 points. 3 points with each of them. Let's say renunciation. So first he was saying, why should we have to cultivate renunciation? In other words, what is the benefit of cultivating renunciation? Number 1. Number 2, how do we cultivate renunciation? Number 2. Number 3, what is the measure of having generated renunciation? What is the measure? How do we know that we have generated renunciation? You're getting it? Okay. These are 3 points which Lama Tsongkhapa explained, each of these 3 points. Renunciation, bodhicitta, wisdom, emptiness. This is very good, the point. So now the question is, how do we know that we reach each of these points? Each of these, the particular path is your question. Of course, we have to, instead of just speculating, it's very important to at least attempt in the practice. This is very important. And then for the bodhicitta, what is very clearly indicated is that, when we do the practice of bodhicitta, we have to follow the steps. Following the steps, okay, 7 steps, 9 steps, following these various steps, and then finally you reach, okay, when you begin this step, for example, like equalizing self and others, reflecting on the demerits of cherishing oneself, reflecting on the merits of cherishing others. As we follow there, and then the feeling of love and affection becomes more intense. And then when you reach the last one, that is bodhicitta, then it becomes very intense. This is a built-up. It's a built-up experience, right? It's built up on the earlier the steps. It's not that it comes very spontaneously every time. Whereas when the bodhicitta, when it becomes spontaneous every time, morning, let's say in the daytime, in the nighttime, without any effort, that is when you have reached at least the first path of accumulation. Right? Okay, this is one part. Then, interestingly, in this connection, more like the trailer of a movie of a very important text, which is Abhisamaya Alankara, which we have to study eventually as a part of Nalanda Master's course. Abhisamaya Alankara, or the ornament of clear realization. the text written by Arya Maitreya. So there he talked about the bodhisattvas. Say there is what is known as the irreversible bodhisattvas. Irreversible bodhisattvas. How do we know that we reach that level? Irreversible bodhisattvas. Then the Arya Maitreya, he gave the indications that there are several indications for the bodhisattvas. They reach the irreversibility, indications of the irreversibility at the different stages. So how do we know that we get these when I reach that level? How do you know that? Then Arya Maitreya gave some list of indications. If you get this indication, this list of these indications, then you have reached the bodhisattva of the irreversible state. So their indications are indicated there. Yes. So for that, Vishal, we have to study more. But for the first, initially, is a bodhicitta. Bodhicitta is a spontaneous experience. The desire to become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings, when it becomes very spontaneous, that is a bodhicitta. You have reached the part of the accumulation. And then after that, we will also learn, say this is what we're doing now, right? The divisions of the paths, after the part of accumulation, then we go to part of preparation. So what is the mark? What is the mark of having joined the path of the preparation? So what experience? How do we know that? So all this I have to explain. This come later. Yeah. Good. Okay, next question. Okay, Gayatri ji.
Venerable Geshala-ji, I just wanted to ask you, in the path of no more learning, when an enlightened being is already a learned being, how is it a path?
Okay, this is a good question. Okay, this is a good question. Okay, let's say. So basically, the point is that first, one thing is that just follow this. Gade, gade, para, gade, para. Whether label it is a path or not, it doesn't matter. Follow this, and then you reach there where you don't learn anything. That is your aspiration. You fulfill that aspiration. That's whole purpose, right? And then the path. Why do we call that as a path? So ideally, it is a quality. It's not the path in the literal sense. It is a quality. It's a mental quality. So these mental qualities, they are referred to as the path for us to know it in a metaphorical sense. In a metaphorical sense, when we say path, then we see that, okay, I'm not supposed to sit idly. If I sit idly, I'm not following path. Right? Path means you have to keep moving. So when we give the qualities of these various steps, qualities, the label, the path, then that's a great purpose for people to keep moving. Keep moving. Path. And what it actually refers to is not the literal path, it is qualities. So you reach the highest quality. That is what is metaphorically referred to as the path of no more learning. Yeah. Okay, more questions? Okay, Abelardo. By the way, Abelardo, the brain is, where are you from? Which country?
I'm from Costa Rica in Central America.
Yes, Costa Rica, I've been there. Yes. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Abelardo, yes.
Yes, we hosted His Holiness Dalai Lama in 1989. His first visit to Latin America, and we also created the Tibetan Costa Rican Cultural Association with his.
When was the second time?
Latin America, we did an interfaith ceremony.
No, second one. Second trip to His Holiness, the second trip to Costa Rica. Any idea?
Yeah, it was in 1994, and there was going to be a third one, but then Costa Rica shifted foreign relations from Taiwan to China, and China started the third visit. It was a noble.
But I was there. But I was there. I was in Costa Rica with His Holiness. 2000. Huh? No, I think no. 2000. After 2005. Yeah. Okay. But what's your question?
Yes, I've been hearing. You said, well, method and merit are synonymous, but
Yes. Yes.
I've always heard method used. First time I learned that merit is equivalent, but they bring very different connotations to my mind. Merit has a much more meaning for me than method. I always thought that method sounds very cold, like whereas merit.
Okay, Abelardo, I agree with you. I agree with you. Okay, this is a very important point, and particularly for the Nalanda diploma course participants, I like to share this. What Abelardo is coming up with his question. This is a very serious question because when you speak about merit, it means something. When you speak about method, it doesn't really have that feeling coming within us. Okay, so basically, the Tibetan word for that is tap. Tibetan word for this what we call as method or the merit. The is the tap, and the wisdom as opposed to the tap. Wisdom as opposed to the merit. Both are there. This word, the merit is sonam, and then the method is tap. So tap has the connotation, it has the connotation one as a method, but the actual the connotation that I feel as a native Tibetan speaker, thought with this, I don't get it when I use the word method. You are right. I agree with you. But now that you are not from the 1 week group workshop, 10-day workshop, you're from a very systematic studies. So we have to know one thing, which is so important for all of us, you and me, all of us. What is that? Anybody can use any label. Anybody can use any label. Don't get transfixed by the labels. Don't get transfixed by the labels, meaning that, okay, he said method, what is that? It doesn't mean anything. Even the wisdom is also the method. Don't get transfixed with this. Say the method, this is the label that I use. So label has the reference. Label have reference. Okay, let us all okay, let us all meditate on. Let us all meditate on the Chakdip. Hey, be very serious. Let's meditate. Let's do 2 minutes meditation on Chakdip. Hey, don't look at me. Meditate on Chakdip.
What do we have to meditate on?
Chakdip.
Okay. I have no idea what chapter is.
Okay. Look. Now, what's your problem? Why did you not meditate on Chakdip? Why do you not meditate on Chakdip? The Vishal?
I don't know what
Chakdip is?
yeah.
Then the Siuchin? Why do you not meditate on Chakdip?
I don't know too.
You don't know what Chakdip is, Alex? You don't know it. Okay. Suzanne? Shagun? Chad? Okay. Jean? Caroline? Caroline, no? Okay. So the point is that, so it's just Chakdev doesn't mean anything to you. You're getting it? Hamala? Hamala? Some idea? You know what Chakdev is?
That
Huh?
is text, Keshav.
Yes. Okay. Kunjabla knows that. Okay. Chakdev for you, it does not mean anything. But you will not stay idly, right? If you are a person with me, you will ask me, or if you are in person with Hamala and Kunjabla, you will ask them, what is Chakdev? You're getting it, you'll ask them. So you're looking for when you ask what is Chakdev, Chakdev is a label, and you're looking for the referent of the Chakdev. So label and the referent is more important than the label. You're getting it? Method is a label. The referent of the label is more important than the label itself, the method. So you may not feel comfortable with the word when the method is used, right? Okay. Let's say let's say trauma. How this word trauma is used in the vernacular world, and how this word trauma is used in specialized, how it is used in a specialized form in the medical terms is very different. So for example, say if there is say because of some wrong medication, if there's some injury happened to my lungs or to my heart, medically it is known as trauma. Ordinary people will not call it trauma. Trauma is a mental state. So the same label is understood in two different ways. So referents are different. You're getting it? So now attending the Nalanda diploma course and Nalanda master's course, our job is to distinguish between what is the label used and what is the referent of the label. So focus more on the referent. Don't worry too much about the labels. You're getting it? So the point is that over time, particularly when you go deeper into the philosophy, then there are going to be the labels. There are going to be some technical terms. For example, we speak about the objectivity. We speak about object. We say that, okay, objectively this is brown. Objectively this is brown. But from the philosophy point of view, from the Prasanga philosophy point of view, there's no objective brown, right? So if you come across a situation where you are not too happy with the words, you are not happy with the words. Oh, that's strange. There are two Carolines sitting next to each other. Carolyn Ming and Carolyn Hansen. Right, two Carolines. Okay. So the point is that what I'm saying is that they say so as you go into more philosophical discussions, then the terminologies or vocabularies, what is used, you may not agree directly. Simply because you don't agree with the vocabularies doesn't mean that you don't agree with the other person's concepts. So concepts are more important than the vocabularies used to refer to the concepts. You're getting it? For example, say consciousness. Consciousness is a word used by, almost all the Indian, the philosophical traditions. So how that is understood? Consciousness. This word consciousness is understood in Samkhya, Vedanta, Nyaya, Vaisheshik, and how that is understood in Jainism, how that is understood in Buddhism is very different. The same word, English word consciousness, how that is understood in Buddhism is the mind. How that is understood in Jainism, in Samkhya, Vedanta, Mimamsaka. So there is not the mind. It is the self, the soul or the self, which transmigrates from one life to the other. they refer to that as the consciousness. So with the same vocabulary, what they refer to, don't take them as take for granted. We should be good at listening to what the other person is talking about, what the other person refers, what the other person meant by this particular word when the person uses this word. This is very important for us. Yes, Abelardo?
Yes, I understand your point very well. And you say you agree with me that the connotation of merit brings out good, let's say, mental feelings or reactions. But my question then is, why is method used more commonly than merit? That's my, yeah.
Okay. So basically, let me put it like this. How I understand it in the Tibetan word method. In Tibetan, it is tab. Tab. It's a okay. This is very good. It takes us to the more nuanced concepts, which will come later also. Let's say that finally, did I tell this class, Tinshugela, in this class or the NMC about this one? Finally, the child, the parents, liberating path and the completing, the ripening paths.
I think, Geshe-la, you once mentioned.
Okay, so let me say this again here. Let's say that all the paths which take us to our goals, all the paths, they can be classified into two. There are so many ways of classifications, one of which is the liberating paths and the ripening paths. The liberating paths and the ripening paths. What is this distinction? Is that what actually liberates us from the mental defilements is the wisdom of emptiness. So wisdom of emptiness is referred to as the liberating path, and all others are known as the ripening paths. Why ripening? You practice these, this will help us ripen the wisdom of emptiness, ripen the actual path, ripen the liberating path, ripen the actual path, which is the wisdom of emptiness. So all the other paths are referred to as the ripening paths, and one which actually liberates us is the wisdom of emptiness. So all the other paths, they are like the methods to activate this, the liberating path. Likewise, say the wisdom and the method, meaning all others, they are like the means or the methods to activate this wisdom. Yeah. Good. Okay, maybe more questions, one or two questions, if you have. Okay, if not, okay, a chart. Yes. Unmute.
Yes. Is this why you called last Sunday that the path of accumulation you have the wisdom and the non-wisdom? Is it because this is referring to the liberating path and the ripening path?
Yes.
Okay.
Good, chart. Thank you. Okay, any more questions? Okay, if not, then we will. Okay, Hamala, unmute.
Geshe-la, it's my previous question. You told us to think about it.
Yes. Okay, I cannot escape from it. Okay, what's the question?
Geshe-la, when we say that may I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, so there is also a pull. So
Okay, so when you say, may I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, may I become Buddha. So there's a pull towards the Buddhahood. So is this attachment? Is this your question?
yes.
Okay, it's not my responsibility. It's the responsibility of each one of us, right? Okay, anybody who let's give the answer? Okay, Carolyn Hansen. Unmute, Carolyn.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So I'll try. So the attachment, that's coming from exaggerating the object, as well as the quality of the object. But this,
Okay, Carolyn, tell me where you're from.
Where?
Where are you from? Which country?
Oh, I'm from the United States, in the U.S.
Okay. Okay, go ahead. Please go ahead.
But this, when we're saying this, it's more of an aspiration, and the object of that aspiration is Buddhahood, which can't really be exaggerated because it's already perfect. So, yeah, that would be my answer. I guess so. It is a pull, but I think it's the
I could not follow you. I could not follow you. Say it again.
Okay, so the affliction is the attachment is an affliction, which is coming from grasping at the object and exaggerating the object, right? But this is more of an aspiration, and the object of the aspiration is Buddhahood, right?
Yeah.
And that's already perfect, so it can't be exaggerated. So
okay, what about this? Attachment to juice. Juice is not exaggerated. It's real.
But
attachment
it's not perfect.
Attachment to iPhone 11. iPhone 11 is real. It's not exaggerated. Right?
But Buddhahood's already perfect. I mean, it's a perfect state of mind. So how can you exaggerate something that is the reality of it is already perfect?
Okay.
Not necessarily real, but perfect. I'm probably wrong.
Okay. The desire to help a poor person. Poor person is not perfect.
Well, that.
So that is also an affliction. Desire to help a poor person, is that affliction? Because it's not. It's like a desire for the Jews. Huh?
It can be.
Okay. It may not be.
Right.
It may not be also, right?
Right.
But it's not perfect. 100% is not perfect.
Right.
So therefore, it should be. It should be attachment, right? Object is not perfect. Buddhahood object is perfect.
I'm not sure what you're asking.
So what Karen said is that as the desiring to become a Buddha, Buddhahood is not exaggerated, number one, and the Buddhahood is perfect, so there should be no attachment. Is what he's saying? No. There should not be attachment. Yeah, exactly. So if the object is not perfect, then if you aspire to that becomes attachment. Is this what you're saying?
No, not completely.
Okay.
But close.
Okay. Anybody?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Abelardo. So finally, don't look at my face. Look at Hamala's face. Where's Hamala? Okay, Hamala's face. Hamala should be happy. If she's happy, our job is done. Yes, Abelardo.
I think it can easily become an attachment in the first stages, particularly. That's why it's so important that the wisdom of emptiness practice goes hand in hand with the aspiration, so that we can see through that. Because if not, we can become an ego projection, and we might not even be aware of that.
So if the wisdom of emptiness is not there, then it becomes attachment.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, very easily.
Oh no, it's always or not.
Depends on the pureness of the motivation.
This is what I'm saying. If it is not, if somebody does not have the wisdom of emptiness, Then you generate bodhicitta. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. Then it becomes attachment. Is this what he's saying? Attachment is never virtuous. Don't forget it. Attachment is never virtuous, and bodhicitta is always virtuous. Let us not forget this. So bodhicitta can never be non-virtuous. Attachment that we were talking about, afflictive attachment, is always non-virtuous. Bodhicitta is always virtuous. We cannot have a blend of the two. Okay.
Bodhicitta might be very weak, and the ego might be very strong, and we might be very sincere, and we're fooling ourselves.
Okay, look at Hamula's face. He's not happy. Okay, anybody now? Anybody who can save us? Okay, we have Gayatri ji here.
Venerable Geshala-ji, I just wanted to talk about this in the sense that it is not talking about samsaric attachment. It is talking about there is no connection to samsara, in the sense the attachment is not out of material desire within the human being. It is just it's an aspiration of a person who just reached in, even if he's reached into a path of accumulation. There is a sincere attempt. The sincere attempt to generate the benefit, to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, is a very sincere, virtuous, if it can be labeled as a desire, fine, but it is a genuine need within that enlightened being to benefit everybody, to benefit all sentient beings.
So what about the genuine desire of the mother towards the child? Genuine desire of the mother to...
It is an unconditional feeling. I'm just trying to go.
So the mother's, the genuine unconditional feeling of the mother towards the child?
Yes.
Is that attachment or not?
If we see it in samsaric way, when she is only concerned about her children, then it is attachment. But if it is
is genuine and unconditional towards the child?
If it is only my children, but if I were to perceive everybody around me as an extension of me, then it is not attachment in the say. In the say of, it's not.
Okay, so what Gayatri is saying, it has.
I'm not seeing a benefit from that person.
Yes. So basically, what Gayatri is saying is that without seeking benefit for yourself, which means that self-centered attitude is not involved. Where that is not involved, then you aspire for something that is so wholesome. This is so precious. This is what Gayatri is saying. Pamela, you are happy? In other words, what Gayatri is saying is that, and what Carolyn also is saying is that what we call as attachment can be of two kinds. One which is destructive, one which is positive. Oftentimes people use this word attachment as negative. People oftentimes use the word attachment as negative or desire as negative. So in which case they refer to the negative desire, negative attachment. So if this is how we understand attachment to refer to negative attachment, then the positive attachment we can call it aspiration rather than attachment. So Buddhahood for all beings, Buddhahood so that I can relax. If this is the aspiration, this is attachment. Whereas Buddhahood for all beings, so that I can benefit all beings, that is not attachment, this is aspiration. Right? If you distinguish like this, and then the way Gayatri explained it, that how do we know that this is the pure aspiration? Because it does not, there's no expectation return. There's no sense of expectation return. So that is the indication of the purity of the aspiration. So therefore, aspiration bodhicitta, the Buddhahood, this is not a pull. It's a deliberate deliberate force, not necessarily they say it doesn't involve any form of self-centered attitude. So attachment, the negative attachment, is always involved with self-centered attitude, expectation, return. With a sense of expectation, return, that is mixed there. Whereas aspiring to become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings, that is aspiration without the mixture of self-centered attitude, without the mixture of a sense of the expectation return. Without that mixture, that becomes very pure. Thank you, Gadriji. Yeah. Okay. Any more questions? If not, we'll stop here. Yeah. Okay. End dedication prayer. Now, page 288. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful Chenresi Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samadhi too realize things as they are, also I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these rules of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by all the Buddhas and appear in the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. Chanjo Samjore Amboche Oye Bonam Ke Gyoroche Gyabo Nyombo Mebaya Kone Kondo Pebarai Sho. May the Supreme Bodhisattva, there is not arisen and rise and grow, and may that which is arisen not diminish, but increase forevermore. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exception into that enlightened state. I dedicate the merit thus gathered towards the realization that these in the prayers of all the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas of 3 times, and to the upholding of the Dharma of teaching and realization. May I in all lives, through the force of this merit, never separate from 4 wheels of the Mahayana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect in the 2 stages. With a wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate them out of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. By the power of practicing and supplicating to you, may all be free from sickness, poverty, and conflicts, and may Dharma and auspiciousness proliferate in all the places where we abide. The power of the union of emptiness and compassion is loosely explained by the protector of both the Dharma and the beings of the land of snows. With the Lotus holder Tenzin Gyatso, we supplicate you that your wishes are fulfilled spontaneously. May the operations of evil thoughts and deeds of the negative forces of humans and non-humans who harbor malice through perverted prayers against the teachings of the Buddhas be totally vanquished through the power of the truth of 3 jewels. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, may I enjoy magnificent dharma by completing the qualities of the stages and the paths, may I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by Manjushri and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and the teachings of dependent origination in particular, even at the cost of my life. Om Gade Gade Para Gade Parasamgate Bodhiswatyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhiswatyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Swaha. Okay, good night to all of you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Geshe-la.
Geshe-la.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gisela. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Geshe-la.
Geshe-la.
Good night.
Blessing.